Welcome back to Michigan Marksman. Today on the channel we're continuing our shotgun choke test with double-aught buck. This is the double-aught buck we're running today, and I got 6 of these chokes for my KSG 12. Today we're going to be running these chokes at 15 yards, so it's going to be a little bit stretched for the KSG 12. We'll see what happens with our first pattern with no choke. So let's get blasting. Alright, first on our 15-yard double-aught buck choke test is no choke. As you can see on the end of the gun, that's a Defender break from High Tech Customs. This allows your KSG 12 to take shotgun chokes. Normally you can't do that because there isn't anything to screw in the normal barrel. So let's take a shot to see what type of pattern we get. I don't have high hopes for most of them getting on the target, but we'll see. Alright, let's go take a look. As you can see, that's the pattern with no choke on the gun. 15 yards is quite a bit, but still did really good at reducing that spread. Let's put in the first choke. Alright, here's the first choke of the day, a .725. Let's put it in the KSG 12 and see what type of spread we get. Alright, we got the first choke in our Defender break. That choke is a .725, so a .005 reduction in the inner barrel diameter. Normal 12 gauge inner barrel diameter is a .730. So there we go. Let's take a first shot at 15 yards. Down there is our first choke pattern. Already a pretty substantial reduction to that no choke. I'd say almost nearly half the area. So let's put in the next choke and see what we get. Alright, here's the next choke, a .715. Let's put it in the KSG 12 to see what type of spread we get. We got the next choke in the KSG 12 is a .715, so a .015 reduction in that spread. Let's take a shot. Alright, as you can see up there, we got some weird spread pattern. I'm going to call it the turd pattern. And then here's the other two patterns. Alright, let's put in the next choke to see what we get. Alright, here's the next choke. It's a .7 full choke. Let's put it in the KSG 12 to see how well it reduces the spread pattern. Alright, we got the next choke in the KSG 12. It's a .7, so a .03 reduction in spread. Let's take a shot at 15 yards. Right down here is the .7. I would say we're getting about that plateau again. Nothing really has changed much after that no choke, really. Let's put in the .69 nice choke to see what happens. Here's the next choke. It is a .69 nice extra full choke. Let's put it in the KSG 12. Alright, we got our .69 choke in there. Let's see what type of spread we get with double-aught buck at 15 yards. We got our .69 here, and as you can see down here, one of our wads got stuck in that target. Gonna keep that there, that's pretty cool. Alright, so take a step back looking at this. It honestly looks about the same size as those down there. So not really that great of spread reduction so far. Alright, let's put in the second to last choke. Here's the second to last choke of the day. It's a turkey choke, the .68 choke. So a .05 reduction of that inner barrel diameter. Alright, we got our .68 choke in there. That's a .05 reduction in that inner barrel diameter. Let's take a shot. See what we got. We hit right there for 0.68. A little bit of overlap. I was trying to aim over here, but I kind of missed. I'm guessing my EOTech is a little bit off again. We'll have to check. Overall, it is reducing a little bit more, so let's put in the last choke to see what we got. Here's the last choke of the day. It is a 0.675 choke. So let's put in the KSG 12 to see how small that pattern reduction is. Alright, we got the last choke of the day in the KSG 12. Let's take a shot. That choke is a 0.675. So let's take one last shot. Alright, there's the last choke of the day, the 0.675. Overall, we got progressively more reduction as we went on, but it's still kind of flatlined a little bit. It wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be. Though at 15 yards, with that Kotex 18-inch barrel, it's going to be tough to get some decent reduction, even with chokes. So let's do a breakdown. This is the target from the 15-yard KSG 12 double-aught buck test. As you can see, we have decent widespread patterns on that, and relatively slow drop-offs and reductions as we went lower and lower on those choke sizes. Overall, it did kind of show that you can reduce patterns with this gun, but double-aught buck is really hard, obviously. It's only 9 pellets, so really hard and difficult to get major reductions. Obviously, with the number 8 shot, you could see that quite noticeably as we went lower and lower on these chokes. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with what we got on this. We'll do a comparison video here in a little bit, so be looking for that. We're going to have a comparison video between the Stoeger N3000 and then the Kotek. We'll have some shorts or something between those two. That way you can kind of see a comparison of what the chokes do between the two guns. Obviously, Kotek has an 18-inch barrel while our Stoeger N3000 has a 26-inch barrel. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with how these tests went with double-aught buck. So definitely check out the other videos I have of our shotgun choke tests. If you like my content, consider leaving a like, commenting, or even subscribing. It definitely helps get me more exposure on YouTube. Alright, thank you everyone. Just keep blasting.